How to fasten the wheels of industrial growth and economic development of the African continent has occupied the minds of policymakers for years. At the center of this effort is the challenge for poor power generation and distribution in the continent. Now, 5 ECOWAS countries, including Nigeria, are working on a joint West African power pole. What this is all about and the Nigerian perspective are the main focus of this edition of the program. I am Charles Alpha, welcoming you to Africa Weekly. Nigeria, Togo, Burkina Faso, Benin Republic and Niger have agreed to build a robust power transmission line to improve electricity supply among member states to aid economic development. While the project is expected to be completed in 2023, discussions have advanced as evident in the recent meeting of power ministers of the affected countries in Abuja, Nigeria.
WAPP North Core regional interconnection is seen as a game changer that could shape the energy landscape of the sub-region through effective and efficient power trade. The project will also involve the electrification of rural communities located within a 5-kilometer radius on both sides of the lines.
This project will allow an initial energy exchange estimated at about 430 megawatts, which could reach more than 600 megawatts.
Joining us now to give deeper insights into this initiative is Djibril Mailele. He is the project director, West African Power Pole North Core Project. Welcome on Africa Weekly.
Thank you.
Okay, the West African Power Pole, what is this concept all about?
Okay, I would rather not talk about concept, but a way of implementing the vision of our head of state members, head of state in the ECOWAS, that wanted to do the integration of the West African region in whole. And especially when it comes on the electrical sector, we have a specialized institution that has been put on place, which is West African Power Pool, based in Cotonou. And WAPP is the instrument whereby this vision is being implemented toward the construction of infrastructure to allow interconnectivity among countries, and also to put in place a platform whereby this electricity will be traded. So the ICC, which is a Information Coordinator Center, is being built in Cotonou, while in the same way we have a lot of infrastructure that has been put on place. We can talk about some interconnection that has came and some that are ongoing. And North Core project is, of course, one of these overall project that aims to interconnect all the West African countries, except Cape Verde, which is not in the inland area. So WAPP North Core project aims to interconnect Nigeria all the way to Burkina Faso, passing to Niger, where we have another junction to go to Benin. And this is the last link to allow interconnectivity among all the inland West African countries.
What stage are we in the project, and what is the level of commitment from member countries?
Okay, I can say that, especially for this North Core project, it is really a commitment from the countries that went together through the institution, which is WAPP, to gain also the commitment with donors. It is a project that is involving 4 countries, namely Nigeria, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Benin. And and we have a common, they have decided together, which is really a very sign of a strong commitment. They have committed together to put on place one project management unit in order to fast track the implementation of that project. And this project management unit is based here in Abuja. We are also creating some economic condition whereby people that have the privilege of generating lowest cost can build some power plants and sell to other countries, which is like an opportunity for them to open their market. For the off-takers, we expect to have a reduction of the cost, improvement of the capacity of electricity, and all about bringing a better configuration supply, steady supply in the citizen involved in that country.
Okay, now you have mentioned this is a very, very huge project, and I'm just wondering now, what will be your expectation in terms of funding and sustainability?
The project is about 880 kilometers long with 330 kV double circuit lines involving 5 substations, and the cost is of around 567 million USD, and all these funds are made already available through financing agreement signed between the countries, respective countries, with the donors. World Bank is funding 72% of the project, FDB 20.5%, AFD, the France Agency of Development, 6%, and the federal government of Nigeria is funding for an amount of 4.9 million USD.
Okay, thank you very much. That is the project director, West African Power Pool North Core Project, Mr. Djibril Mailele. I want to say thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
All right.
It's my pleasure.
All right. Now, Nigeria particularly has an electricity supply challenge that has slowed down the nation's industrialization efforts over the years. How will this West African Power Pool project assist the country? We are now being joined by an analyst, Shitul Mohammed Kabir. He's the former chairman, African Young Leadership Forum. We want to say thank you very much for coming on Africa Weekly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, Nigeria is still battling with power supply challenges. Why is this joint power project important to the country?
The West African Power Pool, though come up 1999, and by 2005, we've been able to come up with the legislative and other things that work it out. And it's very, very important that we collaborate in order to generate electricity for Nigeria. Today, Nigeria have the capacity at least of bringing up 8,000 megawatts. You can see that all we could distribute within the country is just 4,000 megawatt plus. In joining together, especially in the hydroelectric projects, you find out the river pass Niger, Mali to Nigeria. So in this joint, we'll be able to build capacity. We'll be able to build infrastructures. And when you put up infrastructure, a joint infrastructures, we can be able to pool finance together and be able to now pool this electricity into our villages. And now this will even complement African continental free trade that we are talking about. Because until you light West Africa, we will not be able to get anything out of it. Industrialization come out from the electric. If you don't have electricity, how do you industrialize? So it's very, very, very important that this West African pool is very, very too great important to Nigeria.
Okay, so what you're saying in a sense is this initiative will really improve power supply in Nigeria and the region, West Africa in general. Okay, now how can initiative like this fast-track economic growth for Nigeria?
If we are able to pull it together, if we go according to the papers and the vision and mission of the project, you find out that we could even generate, we'll be talking of 40, 50 megawatt, and our rural areas could now be electrified. And immediately you put electricity in the rural area, you stop urban migration, you bring about industrialization. It will bring a lot of things, because now immediately you started processing in the villages. You find out that people don't even move to the city again, and then the wealth distribution among the rural populace will now help the country to stabilize. So electricity is the major thing, and this West African pool, we must make it to work.
And I'm happy you mentioned the Africa Free Trade. Now, what is your expectation for actualization of the project and chances for regional integration?
It will help the country, it will help the West African as a country, and then it will help humanity. So it's an important project that Nigerians have to key into. Nigerians have to make it work, because we are the giant, and as giant, we must make it work. The West African, because there will be competition, and those competition is that West African as a bloc will now start competing with East Africa, will start competing with North Africa. Therefore, this African continental free trade, we must pull them. You can't pull industries to West Africa if you don't have this electricity. That's important. So competition will set in, and we can't afford to be left behind in the project.
All right, thank you very much.
The project is too important to
carry out. All right, so patriotism, the key word there, patriotism. Now that is Shitu Mohammed, public analyst, and a former chairman, African Young Leadership Forum. I want to say thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us on African.
Thank you,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Africa Weekly returns with the Tidbits segment. Please stay with us. We now take you to Kenya, where education stakeholders are seeking ways of increasing funding for rural education to increase access for children.
What are my prospects, and we have begun. A workshop by education stakeholders to validate early childhood development education brought to the fore a number of challenges facing schools, learners and teachers.
We did realize that the ECT is lacking in infrastructure, it is lacking in learning materials, it is lacking in teachers, and it is even lacking in training and even learning materials.
But funding to ensure such demands are met remains the core shortfall for county governments. Council of Governors Education Committee Chair Mutahi Kahiga says more needs to be done.
We do the hiring in our counties. At the same time, the Senate oversight committees are concerned about the huge wage bills. So we are between a rock and a hard place.
Already, most county governments are said to surpass the wage bill threshold of 35%.
This is something we must also work towards. We must decide on how much what percentages of our budgets must go to ECD if we are really committed towards changing that landscape.
According to the education stakeholders, more funding is also needed for training of disabled teachers who want to teach in ECDE.
And this cost of training, I think, needs to be borne by the state. And this is some of the things that we are pushing for, so as to raise the equality of everybody and ensure that you're meeting the extra needs that come in terms of being equitable to every child and every trainee.
The financial crisis, which is at the same time being experienced in public schools, has seen leaders call for maximum support for the institutions. A section of leaders have called for a review of the capitation fund for the public schools, saying the current one is ineffective.
This per capita does not work for small schools. I think there should be a kind of affirmative action. Maybe that we'll have to do through legislation to get an affirmative action to support growing schools. Because like this school they have 60, 90 students. So when you're given 5,000 per person, it's about 200. You cannot develop as much.
In the 2021-2022 financial year budget, 202.8 billion shillings have been set aside to support programs in the education sector.
Now, still on the well-being of children, Nigerian First Lady Aisha Buhari wants a common front to secure learning environment for children on the occasion of African Child Day celebrated in Abuja.
It was in 1979 when about 10,000 black children were killed in Soweto, South Africa, following a protest against poor quality of education. This informed the global commemoration 41 years after. The issues that necessitated the protest are still much around, especially in Africa. Some out of school, others on the street, while in an extremely unfortunate situation, kidnapped in their quest for education. And these are heartbreaking, the Nigerian First Lady lament in a message to mark the 2021 Day of the African Child.
This day gives us another opportunity to mobilize our efforts for the sake of children's welfare and promote children's rights to a wider audience. It is also important to note that the United Nations Convention on the Right of Child classifies the child's rights under 4 broad themes: survival, development, protection, and participation.
Women bear the emotional pain more, so redefining their roles to create a more compassionate and accommodating society is an assignment. 30 years after the adoption of the Charter, accelerate the implementation of Agenda 2040 for Africa Fit for Children is the theme for the 2021 Day of the African Child. While waiting for that, Nigerian women treated the children to the best of fun, and for those that excel in competitions, at the celebration, we are rewarded.
In Ghana, the frightening dimension of the humanitarian crisis arising from child refugee issues is engaging the minds of stakeholders. Now here is the report.
Most children flee fighting, while some witness terrible atrocities, including killing of parents, siblings, neighbors, and trucks running over people. Stories of missing friends and family members abound in refugee camps of most African countries. The memories of lost loved ones remain vivid and sharp in the minds of these innocent minors. However, as young as they are, they begin to rebuild their lives and move on despite what they have lost, bringing into focus that which hold a special place in their hearts.
They come shooting, they were killing everyone, whether you are a man, woman, a young, whatever, you are blind, deaf, they put them inside the house, then they just burn the house.
Africa has the largest share of children among its migrant population. Statistics from UNICEF show that more than 1 in every 4 immigrants in Africa are children, more than twice the global average. The percentage is particularly high in Western and Eastern Africa, where in countries like Nigeria, Ethiopia and Kenya, children account for more than 40% of the immigrant population. These countries also host some of the largest child migrant populations in Africa. In absolute terms, the largest is housed by South Africa with 642,000 migrants under the age of 18 as of 2017.
We urge all member states to honor their obligations under the Convention on the Rights of the Child and repatriate children in a safe, voluntary, and dignified manner. The conditions under which many children are living do not provide the necessary care and protection that every child needs.
The United Nations Refugee Agency, UNHCR, stated in its 2018 findings that Uganda hosts the largest number of unaccompanied child refugees in the world. Most of them come from South Sudan, which has been mired in civil war since December 2013. For children who have been displaced because of conflict or persecution, providing the necessary resources for them restores their hope and dignity. The UNHCR and its stakeholders say it is important that every host country provides a safe space for refugee children, especially during these uncertain times of COVID-19.
From Ghana, we go to Zimbabwe, where the country is determined to eliminate gender inequality. A bill for an act for gender equality in that country has been presented to the parliament.
The Zimbabwe Gender Commission, working with the Women in Law in Southern Africa, as well as the Institute for Young Women's Development, tabled their model gender equality bill before Parliamentary Portfolio Committee representatives.
We should change it from the Ministry of Women Affairs to the Ministry of Gender Equality, or the Ministry of Gender. Because the more that we are continuing to be falling under the Ministry of Women, I feel that we are also disadvantaging them to some extent.
The issues that we want the bill to address really are issues to do with equal representation of women in key decision-making positions across the sectors, so it's in politics, in the economy, in social sphere.
The Parliamentary Portfolio Committee representatives applauded the civic society organizations for diverting from a confrontational path in raising their grievances.
Have a starting point in terms of coming up with the Gender Equality Bill, which is very important in terms of implementing what has been outlined in the Constitution in terms of achieving gender parity.
I'm very happy that we now have civic society that understands that the way to implement or the way to get things done is to engage with the relative state institutions, which is Parliament and the ministries.
Noted in the draft Gender Equality Bill is the expansion of the mandate of the Gender Commission.
That's our package on Africa Weekly this week. Thanks for being part of it. I am Charles Alpha.